Hey there everyone, Nathan Stein at Pegasus Robotics. In this segment, I'm going to talk about how to take an XAG product and add it to an XAG user's account. But first, we're going to work and set up an XAG user account on the XAG One app. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and systematically add the ARC3 Pro and the P100 Pro to that user's account so that we can go ahead and use it out in the field. Before we get started, let's cover the equipment that we need. I have a P100 Pro ready to go with 2 charged batteries. I have an ARC3 Pro remote here, also ready with fully charged battery. You'll need an Android device or tablet that you can install the XAG One app in. That app can be accessed by going to pegasusrobotics.com, scrolling to the very bottom of the page and opening the app link at the bottom. You can install that and make sure it's up to date on your device before we get started. I also have a SIM card that works in my local area. If you want to know more about which SIM card might work in your area, please make sure to reach out to our staff. We can direct you to which card and which plan might be the best for you in your area to go ahead and get started. I also have some various tools. I have a driver with hex heads, and I have some small screwdrivers as well as a pick that's necessary for being able to access the autopilot stack on the P100 Pro, if we should go over that in this video. But these are always good tools to have with you when you're working on this equipment. So one thing to know about XAG is they have many different information protocols to connect their devices. In this segment though, I'm going to concentrate only on the remote controller network or the RCN mode. The best way to describe this is to actually draw it out and show it here on this board. And what I can show you is for one, the most important thing to understand is the XAG cloud is required in order to connect the user to the device. And in order to do that, we need to be able to connect to both devices, the drone, the controller, and the XAG One app in order to bind those things together. So, for example, there's a couple different ways you can do this though. The device itself could connect through 4G and get internet, or it may go directly to a Wi-Fi router that's local. So there's 2 different ways you can get to the internet through your Android device. From there, these 2 can connect to the XAG cloud, whether it be through 4G or the Wi-Fi. It's going to connect to the World Wide Web and to the XAG cloud. Now, the ARC3 Pro itself can operate in the field without the internet. But in order to register the devices, you must connect them to the internet in order to get them registered. To do that, we're going to either put a SIM card in the ARC3 Pro, or we're going to connect that ARC3 Pro to the Wi-Fi router that's nearby. That ARC3 Pro will provide internet to the P100 Pro and the XRTK device that's in the field with you. So you don't have to have internet on these 2 devices in this mode. You can actually share it by connecting or binding them together. So the ARC3 Pro is going to connect to either a cell tower or through the Wi-Fi, like I said earlier, to get internet and connect to the XAG cloud. Once both of these are connected to the internet and to the XAG cloud, you'll be able to register the devices easily. However, if you're not connected, if your device is not connected for some reason, you will not be able to register your devices. So keep this in mind going forward as we do this tutorial. The first thing you need to do is create an XAG One account, and it's pretty simple to do. User accounts are based on phone numbers, so make sure to use your phone number that's on this device to do that. I'm going to go ahead and type in, I've opened my app and I'm going to type in my cell phone for this device. And I'm now ready to go ahead and send a verification code. Make sure to check and read the agreement to the terms for the XAG One app. It'll take just a minute and then you'll get a verification code. Go ahead and paste in that code and then choose a password. So this is our ARC3 Pro controller, and it does have a slot for the SIM card. You're going to want to go ahead and take off the RTK top, and then there's a label called SIM1. You're going to want to go ahead and put a SIM card in that slot with the metal facing you if you're holding the controller and looking at it. In order to do this, you're going to go ahead and pick up your SIM card, and you can use your tweezers here to hold on to it. It's a lot easier to hold the flap back with the other hand and put the SIM card in this way. Be gentle not to wreck the card, and you can use the end of the tweezers to go ahead and push that SIM card in until it clicks. And that's done. In order to add it to an account, you just click and hold the power button for 10 seconds until it starts flashing red. Now leave the device in a clear open area that gets cell reception until the lights turn green. You'll notice the lights turn from red to an orange to a green when it's ready to be added to the account. So now that your lights are flashing green on your remote, go ahead and pick up your Android device. Be sure to check that your mobile data is on with your 4G and the Wi-Fi is off and you're not connected to the remote, because you need to be connected to the internet in order to do that, and then this is connecting to the internet through another pathway. We're going to go ahead and go to Me and Device, and we have no devices. Let's go ahead and hit the plus to add a device. In order to do this, you flip over your remote so you can see the QR code right here. And then you're going to go ahead and focus this camera on that QR code, and you may have to move it back and forth and do this in a well-lit area. Once it's found itself, it'll bring it up. You can go ahead and name the device and click Next. Now the remote's switched over and you can see my second light is lit up as green, meaning that I'm connected not only to a cellular connection, but also I'm connected to the internet and to the central server. So this is connected and online, and it's ready to go ahead and use. It's time to power up the P100 Pro. Let's go ahead and get started. Always make sure that your batteries are latched and pushed in tight. To start, go ahead and hold the power button down until it flashes, let off, and then hit again. Okay, with our P100 Pro on now and our ARC3 Pro on, we're going to go ahead and pair the connection between the vehicle and the remote controller. To do so, we're going to hold the power button down for 10 seconds while it flashes until it starts blinking on the chain icon. While the remote is searching, we're going to set it down, and then we're going to go ahead and hold the power button on the left-hand side battery for 10 seconds until it flashes, and then the lights will turn kind of a white color or a yellow color on the arms. Once the remote binds, you'll hear it beep. So to add the vehicle to your device list, you first have to bring it outside so it can get GPS signal. So I'm out in an open area where I can get a signal finally, and I'm near my remote controller that's connected to my device. As I showed before, we're going to go ahead and we're going to click the plus button to add a device. And then I'm going to use the QR code on the back here and scan that to add it. It's going to bring up my remote, or it's going to bring up the P100 Pro that I have here. You can title it whatever you want to call it on your device name. And then if the lights are green, which you take a look, and if they're red, it's likely because you don't have GPS coverage. But once it does turn green and you have connection, you can go ahead and hit next. Important to do. It's to bind the remote to the drone. The first step we did was to pair the frequencies of the remote to the drone, and that connected them so they could talk to each other. The last step is to bind them by software so that this remote is dedicated to that drone. So to do so, we click on the P100 Pro, and we click on Remote Controller Bound, and it says Disconnected. Once we do that, we click on the ARC3 Pro and we click Bind. This ties those two together. And once this is done, you've completed the last step so that you can fully have control of the vehicle underneath this new user that you created. Finally, the last step that you would want to do is to go ahead and set up an operation device. Go ahead and click on your drone that you want to use and click Complete. And now your profile is set up for your user, your devices are added, and you've set up your device as the operational device to go ahead and conduct a mission. Last but not least, let's make sure that our software is up to date. We can go ahead and click Firmware Update, and it's going to go ahead and for each product you're going to have to go through the ARC3 Pro separate and then the drone. I suggest first updating the drone and then the controller, since the controller carries the internet. We have an update here. It says for a smart battery, so I'm going to go ahead and click Download and Update. All right, with your remote up to date and your drone up to date, your device is fully ready, added, paired, and a user created, and you're ready to go ahead and use this device in the field.